welcome to OurVentura TV. I'm Sandra Siepak. On today's show, we're welcoming Dennis Murphy. He is the chairman of the Gold Coast Veterans Foundation here in Ventura County. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for having me.
I'd like you to tell us a little bit more about the foundation and all that you do for so many veterans in Ventura County.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. So the foundation was founded in 2006, and we provide services to the 45,000 veterans in the county. We don't turn away those from outside the county, but we primarily focus on Ventura County. And but what we're really mostly focused on is those veterans who kind of fall through the cracks, who have difficulty accessing the services that they're eligible for, or are struggling just in their reintegration back into society after their services, and in particular, homeless veterans. And so, we've taken a more of an integrated care model to this, where we're trying to help them get access to their benefits, to get access to low-income housing, to financial coaching, to counseling. So we think about this as an integrated care model that we provide the services for.
Very good. I know that you have a very successful program that you have started called the Mobile Veteran Outreach Program. Mm-hmm. And it is handled, of course, by your organization. And you also have a person that is out in the area doing the mobile outreach work. So we'd like to talk about that and hear more about it.
Okay, sure. So, as I mentioned, we've been around for a while, and we really have had a brick and mortar operation. We have an office in the Ventura County Community Foundation in Camarillo, and we were having about 2,000 veterans a year walk through our doors to access the benefits and services, things I was just talking about. And a couple of years ago, we had a homeless veteran. Rafael Stoneman is his name, and Rafael was on the road to recovery, the journey back to leave the streets, and he came to us for help. We were able to get him placed in housing. Actually, one of our board members, who's a property manager, was able to we worked to get a voucher from the Veterans Administration, and our property manager placed him in his home with that voucher, or placed him in a property that he was managing.
Good.
And then eventually Rafael came and started volunteering with us, and he was pursuing a psychology degree at Cal State Channel Islands, and he needed to do some work in the community as part of his studies. And so what we ended up doing was realizing that Rafael had a magic touch. He has a 165-pound service dog, Leo, and they would go out into the community. And what we realized is we could take our brick and mortar operation and make it mobile and bring those services to those that were most in need. And Rafael and Leo have been able to touch the lives of many homeless veterans and been very successful in that. And we've built partnerships with the local county mental health services and the law enforcement. When like, for example, if the law enforcement, the police get called into a situation and there's a homeless veteran and they're really not breaking the law, or they're just on the verge of where the police aren't quite sure what to do, we oftentimes will get a phone call, and Rafael will dispatch, and he and Leo go out there and they intervene in the situation and do what needs to be done to try to get that homeless veteran, back into to wanting their benefits, to working with them to get whatever they need, casework, to really get them, off the street and back into society.
Very good. And that's, now at a time when agencies are so overwhelmed, helping so many, of course, with COVID-19 and the challenging time we're facing now. And I'm sure with veterans, there's that as well to deal with. So how do you step up and help so many that are out there trying to make a go of it?
Yeah. So one thing I would say is I'm really proud of what the Gold Coast Veterans Foundation did during the pandemic, in particular, when many nonprofits and service-oriented organizations were having difficulty keeping going, and they, in many cases, had to shut their doors. We actually doubled down, and we went big. We used an army of volunteers that we have and some of our staff. And one of the first things that we decided that needed to be done was to get personal protective equipment out to the veterans that were in need. So we went out and manufactured 21 gallons of medical grade sanitizer and put that into 1,000 small bottles. We used a long table in our offices and put those in pouches along with a mask and gloves. And we went and distributed those out in the streets, out to the homeless veterans and those that were in need, because we knew that that was essential to keep them safe during the pandemic. We then partnered with the Project Room Key, which is actually a kind of a statewide effort to get homeless off of the streets and into motels during the pandemic, and working with the United Way and the county in Ventura County. We were able to get, through Rafael and our volunteers, were able to get 85 of those homeless veterans off the street and into those motels during COVID.
That's
and
quite
so,
an accomplishment.
there's many really other things. There's many other things that we were able to do as a foundation during it, but those are two I would call out as, I think really achievements at a time that there was real need in the community, and our team stepped up.
Very good. I understand there's now plans for a new Veterans Village that is going to care for quite a few of the veterans here in Ventura County. And I know that there was just recently a substantial donation that was given to your organization by the late Bill Moores, who was a World War II veteran here and lived in Ventura County. And he wanted to contribute to this development to make it happen. So I'd like you to touch on that and what we can expect to see in the near future.
Sure. So, as I was talking about, as Rafael gets out onto the streets, gets out and, think about the homeless, not necessarily as those you might see on a corner with a sign looking for donations. These are people that had housing, who, and all of a sudden, no longer can pay their rent, and they're evicted and they're living in their car. And, so these are people, they're not all those that don't want to leave the street. In many cases, they're those that want to, but they just don't know how. They don't know what that first step is, or the second step, or, what are those first days, weeks, and months that is necessary to get them. And we think about, like a bridge solution, a bridge housing to get from, where do you take them on the first night? Where do they stay for the first week? Where do you stay? And so we've really been focused on this, how to find that kind of housing solution. And we came across Bill Moores, as you mentioned. Bill was a very successful commercial real estate, living in Ojai, 97 years old, and his wife passed away about a year ago, January of 2020. And he decided that he wanted to sort of take his sizable estate and redirect that to veterans causes. So he did an internet search and found us. And so I found myself meeting him for the first time over lunch in Ojai. That's where he lived. And, we had a great conversation. We didn't talk about philanthropy. I was a Navy veteran myself. I spent 24 years in the Navy, retired as a captain. I was captain of a nuclear submarine. He had been a CB in World War II and was out building landing strips in the Pacific Islands and he stayed in the reserves for 20 plus years after he got out. So we had a really nice connection there. And when the meeting was over, our lunch was over, he put out his hand and he said, "Congratulations, you passed the test."
Nice.
And I said, what test? And I didn't realize I was being interviewed to build trust. And I had passed his test. And so what he did is together we conceived of this notion of a veterans village. And the veterans village is something that we're very determined to pursue. Bill wrote a check for $500,000 to get it started, kind of a seed fund for us to get moving on it. We have more unfortunately he passed away recently. In fact, I'm going to his funeral service tomorrow. And so upon the settlement of his estate, we believe that we're going to get about 20% of the way that we need to financially to get this Veterans Village to come to life.
That's a very wonderful contribution and now part of his legacy.
Mhm.
to leave to you. And this Veterans Village will make a difference in so many lives.
Yeah, sure. If I could talk about it just a little bit, what our concept is, and it's really the design is built upon the experiences and insights of our mobile veteran outreach program. You know, as Rafael
Right.
went out and interacted, what we really found was some of the veterans, especially those suffering from PTSD, they'd rather be in a camping environment.
Sure.
You know, don't put me in an apartment building. Let me
Right.
be out kind of by myself in nature, and I need that for as part of my recovery. You know,
Okay.
and so we think about it as a healing and housing merging and bringing that integrated services model into that village. And
Good.
so we're imagining, you know, the peer-to-peer connections that those veterans are making, the professional counseling that we can bring to them, potentially getting to the point where we might have, you know, a safe house for those that are, suffering, you know, from substance abuse and trying to get clean,
Okay.
and we can have that integrated into what we're doing. And so it's really equal parts housing, healing, and a comprehensive supportive services. And we're really motivated to take, you know, Bill's vision. He built his vision with us to try to make that happen.
Very good. Well, we're at the end of the show, and I would like you to just share the website if you can for the viewers. So should they like to contribute to the organization or volunteer, I hope that you will give the website and any contact information.
Sure. Yeah. So you can get to us at www.gcvf.org.
Okay.
And our phone number is 805
Mhm.
482 6550. And, you know, donations are welcome. Volunteer time is welcome. And we really would appreciate the community support.
Great. Well, Dennis Murphy of the Gold Coast Veterans Foundation, I'd like to thank you so very much for being on the show today and sharing so much about the organization, helping so many veterans out there in Ventura County.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. And thank all of you for joining us today on Our Ventura TV. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everyone.